Good morning, everyone. Welcome to week two. Today we'll be discussing the case study. Should she be disciplined for an Instagram post? This is about this is about a nurse who worked for APUS Medical Center. She's been working with the medical center for a number of years, and she was a 27-year-old pediatric nurse. And she is usually known for being compassionate, strong rapport with patient and family. She's very active on social media. The hospital opened a new pediatric wing, and because of budget cuts, they weren't able to have a huge opening, which she was advocating for, due to budget cuts. So this nurse, Samantha, went on to Instagram and made a post that says, "Nothing says we care like dry cupcakes at a dollar store streamer. Proud to work at a place that really knows how to celebrate our kids." A parent saw this post and replied to APUS Medical Center's management team. So here we'll discuss how the post violated the team, how Samantha's post violated any professional organizational standards, if so, and which ones, what are the potential legal and ethical and reputational risks that will be faced by APUS Medical Center. Should Samantha be disciplined? If so, what action should we take to discipline her? And how should APUS Medical Center address the lack of formal social media policy? And what steps can leaders take to balance employee expression and organizational integrity? So first, we'll take question one, which is how did Samantha's post violate any organizational standards? The professional organizational standard violation. So even in the absence of a specific formal social media policy at APUS Medical Center, Samantha is bound by broader professional and ethical and legal guidelines that govern healthcare workers depending on the exact nature of the post. She may have violated several standards. One, patient confidentiality, which is HIPAA. If she had shared protected health information such as PHI, such as patient's names, specific medical conditions, photos, or even highly specific descriptions that could allow a member of the community to identify a patient, she has committed a federal legal violation under the Health Insurance Portability Act. Two, professional boundaries. An example of this is the ANA Code of Ethics. Professional associations like the American Nurses Association or American Medical Association explicitly states that healthcare professionals must maintain the strict therapeutic professional boundaries. Posting disparaging remarks about patients or where she works, discussing workplace grievance publicly, or blurring personal and professional lines, which violates these codes. The state licensing board regulations. The state boards hold the authority to discipline license or unprofessional conduct. Online behavior that degrades the profession, compromises patient trust, or displays a lack of fitness to practice can result in broad investigation and actions against her license. Implied duty or loyalty and general conduct. Most organizations have a baseline employee code of conduct. Even without a social media clause, standard expectations regarding professionalism, protection of company reputation and harassment apply to off-duty behavior if it directly impacts the workplace. The risks, too, will be discussing the risk for APUS Medical Center. Risk factors include legal risk, civil lawsuits from patients for invasion of privacy, defamation, substantial federal fines from the Office of Civil Rights if a HIPAA breach occurred, and potential vicarious liability for employee actions. Ethical risk, a foundational breach of the patient's provider relationships, especially the principle of fidelity and non-malfeasance. Patients must feel secure that their vulnerabilities will not be publicized or mocked. Reputational risk, erosion of public trust within the local community, leading to a loss of patient volume, viral negative media exposure, and long-term damage to the medical center's brand, equity, and employer ratings. 3, let's discuss her disciplinary actions and appropriate levels of action. Yes, I believe that Samantha should be disciplined. The lack of a formal social media policy does not give an employee a blank check to violate fundamental professional tenets like patient privacy or baseline work ability. However, the absence of a formal policy creates a procedural hurdle for management. Terminating her immediately without a clear pre-existing policy could expose the hospital to wrongful termination or unemployment claims, depending on the local labor laws and employment contracts. I recommend a tiered approach. If PHI was breached, immediate suspension pending a full compliance investigation. If a clear HIPAA violation occurred, termination is warranted. Regardless of the internal policy status or federal law supersedes the internal rules. If the post was merely high unprofessional, no PHI, which this was, a written warning accompanied by a mandatory remediation training is appropriate. Leadership must explicitly document that her behavior violated general professionalism and code of conduct standards, establishing a clear paper trail. 4th, the organization needs to address the lack of formal a formal social media policy. APUS Medical Center must act swiftly to close this regulatory loophole. Leadership should execute the following sequences: draft an immediate comprehensive policy, partner with legal counsel and HR to create a strict social media framework. Define clear boundaries. The policy must explicitly define what constitutes a violation, including a zero-tolerance ban on sharing any patient stories, images, or details, even if there's no names involved. Restrictions on using the organization logos, uniform, or branding in personal posts that reflects poorly on the center. Guidelines regarding cyberbullying, hate speech, or harassment directed at colleagues or patients. Implement a formal rollout and training. Don't just put the policy into the employee handbook. Hold a mandatory sign-off session and training using Samantha's situation, but just use it anonymously as a case study to show real work applications. Fifth, balancing employee expression with organizational integrity. Leadership does not need to police every aspect of an employee's personal life, but they must protect the integrity of the medical institution. The golden rule of the healthcare social media is an employee right to free speech and personal expressions end where a patient right to privacy and organization's statutory compliance obligation begins. Leadership can achieve this balance by taking these direct or strong actions. Mandate clear disclaimers. Require the employee who identifies their employer on social media to include a visible disclaimer in their bios. Opinion expressed are solely my own and do not express the views or opinions of my employer. Note that this protects against institutional alignment, but it does not excuse privacy or harassment violations. Focus on the impact, not the medium. Frame expressions around the consequence of the speech. If an employee's speech creates a hostile work environment, compromises clinical objectivity, or damages the hospital's operational integrity, it is actionable, regardless of whether it is said in a break room or posted on Instagram. Channel feedback productively. Often, inappropriate social media venting stems from unaddressed workplace burnout or systemic frustrations. Leadership should implement safe internal channels, anonymous town halls, feedback boxes, robust HR support so staff can voice their grievance internally rather than broadcasting them to the public. I hope this post helps with when we think about sharing our grievances about our jobs or any situation on the workplace on our social media.